first, let's queer up trans rights. Family of transgender boy in North Carolina sues state over gender-affirming care bill. The family of a transgender boy in North Carolina is suing state health officials to block implementation of gender-affirming care restrictions that they say will force their son to undergo a traumatic wrong gender puberty. A federal lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court alleges that the new state law violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment by denying treatment access to transgender youths and undercuts parents' rights to make medical decisions for their children. The plaintiff is a 9-year-old transgender boy, and the lawsuit calls him Victor Voe, a pseudonym used for safety and privacy reasons. Joining the youth and his parents in the lawsuit are a local doctor and several LGBTQ+ rights groups. The North Carolina lawsuit closely follows the playbook of other successful court challenges to gender-affirming care bans that have swept Republican-controlled states this year. State leaders of the Department of Health and Human Services and the NC Medical Board are named as defendants in the lawsuit since they're tasked with enforcing the new rules. The concerned law, which passed earlier this year as House Bill 808, bans medical treatments such as puberty blockers, surgery, and other gender-affirming care for transgender people until they're at least 18 years old. It passed mostly along party lines at the state legislature, with all Republicans in favor and nearly all Democrats opposed. What do we think about this?
5 words, right? I mean, I always use these 5 words when it comes to Republicans. The cruelty is the point. This is not about health. This is not about health. This is not about caring about children. This is about deliberately harming LGBTQ plus members of families. I mean, okay, I can even say that, okay, you don't want people to go through gender-affirming surgery. Okay, that's one thing. But what about, puberty blockers hurt no one. It delays puberty so that the child can decide, and with medical professionals, decide which gender that you're going, that you're going to, because there's no reverse gear when it comes to puberty. And once it starts, it goes.
Right. We have talked about this many times here on the show, right? And I've always advocated for, this is a decision of the child, with their parents, their family nucleus, and their physician, their doctor, their therapist. It has to be a team effort. There is no place in here for the government to get involved. These are the same states where right-wing extremist groups had advocated in the past, for example, during the vaccine mandate, when the COVID, that we should leave this to the parents, that we should not force the parents to vaccinate their kids. Now, when the coin is on the other side, where is the parents' rights here? The parents are advocating for their child to be protected and to go through puberty the way the child deserves to go and avoid that trauma of going under the wrong expression of gender. Where is the parents' rights in this situation? These groups are now, finding it very easy when they said before, this should be the parents. Now, let's forget about that. Let's forget about that.
Absolutely. It's like oxymoronic. You hear about conservatives and the right wing screaming, freedom, small government. I don't want you to tell me what I can and can't do with my kids or where I can take them. And yet we have this going on, and we have the don't say gay and the drag queen and the book bans. It's like you want government to stay out of what's going on as much as possible, but then
except unless you're a minority,
when it aligns with your specific beliefs, which are not everyone's specific beliefs. Like I grew up a Pentecostal Christian pastor's son, so I understand the religious aspect of it, but that again is your freedom, not something where you can tell other parents what to do with their kids. Who knows their kids better than them, honestly?
Yeah, I think it's also important for us to recognize that amidst the chaos of these Republican-controlled legislatures, we have people doing the work, doing really, really good work. This lawsuit is one of those examples of really pushing back. We saw that in Florida too, with an injunction against our gender-affirming care ban for young people as well. So there's work being done despite what we see in all these attacks against young people.
But I do worry that eventually this will go up to the Supreme Court, where currently there's a 6-3 supermajority of conservatives. I mean, Gorsuch did rule for LGBTQ rights in employment in the Bostock case, but that does not mean that he will always consistently vote for the rights of sexual minorities.
Yeah.
So
but unfortunately it has to go this way. I mean, these are the cases that forces the state to be challenged. You know, these right-wing states that needs to be challenged, and this was doomed to happen. These cases bring out these lawsuits, and eventually, yes, like you're saying, it will have to follow the progression and get to the Supreme Court. At that point, yes, we are in danger, but it's going to force the public to to see the display of this Supreme Court, and how biased they are because of people like Donald Trump that populated that Supreme Court the way he did. So it will have to get to that point, but we're gonna have to see it. It has to follow that process, unfortunately.